Gang, what is going on in China? And where do these people go once they disappear?
It is still mysterious because the Chinese do not have a free press, and any media person who had raised these issues, they are put in jail.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyeeta Basu. I'm Joyeeta Basu, the editor of the Sunday Guardian. Today, I have a very special guest here on the show, Professor Kondapalli. He is the Dean of the School of International Studies and Professor of Chinese Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. He is considered to be one of the foremost experts on China in this country, and apart from that, I think in the world as well. So, Professor Kondapalli, the first question I want to ask is about this mysterious disappearance about China's defense minister, Li Shangfu. Now, coming so soon after the disappearance of their foreign minister, Qin Gang, what is going on in China? And where do these people go once they disappear?
Thank you very much, Joyeeta Basu, for inviting me for this conversation. Thank you for raising those issues. It is still mysterious because the Chinese do not have a free press. They do not have a transparency mechanism. They do not have Edward Snowden's or Julian Assange or WikiLeaks. And any media person who had raised these issues, they are put in jail. And so there is a problem in terms of the information sharing in the Chinese system. Having said that, there are some reports which suggested that General Li Shangfu, by the way, he came to New Delhi for the SCO Defense Ministerial meeting and met with Indian Raksha Mantri, Shri Rajnath Singh. And if you have seen those visuals, there was no handshake, but just a namaskar that Shri Rajnath Singh had conveyed to General Li Shangfu. Li Shangfu was also in news during the Shangri-La dialogue, where he had taken the Taiwan-US related matters this June. And subsequently, there is the mysterious disappearance of Li Shangfu. Some suggest since August 29, some suggest from September 6th. He has not been in public information. 2-3 factors may inform us about the General Li's absence. One is an explicit suggestion that his son is involved in a contract with foreigners. And as a part of the investigation, his son and General Li were being investigated right now. So that is one version that has come out. Li Shangfu comes from a PLA family, as it is the practice across the globe in terms of the military personnel and their sons and daughters becoming also major, military leaders. So Li Shangfu had a respectable PLA, background, and his father was a major general in the PLA before. And so the investigation into Li Shangfu's case raises a lot of eyebrows because these are considered to be secure families, and they have dedicated themselves for the PLA and the Communist Party. Most of them are members of the Communist Party as well. So this has raised a lot of eyebrows on the missing of Li Shangfu. Another version that has come out is that Li Shangfu had gone to Russia several times. And since 2018, he has been under sanctions by the United States because Li Shangfu worked with the equipment department of the Central Military Commission. And so there is a concern expressed by the US in terms of the supplies that China is making to Russia. in general as part of the CATSA and other regulations of the US Congress. And he is also seen going to Russia frequently. This suggested that despite the Xi Jinping's assurance to President Biden that China will not assist Russia in the conflict related to Ukraine, there are several imageries and other evidence which suggest that the IL-76, IL-78 aircraft came to China from Russia, and they went back with huge equipment. One doesn't know exactly what kind of equipment that has been transferred, but this is the Americans have dished out that kind of information. Also, in addition, China had transferred, according to these reports, the drone technologies or drones themselves, satellite imageries of the Ukrainian conflict, because the Chinese now have Beidou series of satellites for GPS and others. And also so this is done by a Changsha-based institution of providing satellite imageries and so on. There are also reports about other systems being transferred by China to Russia. So this is another feature that has come to light. A third version that is floating around is since General Lee is associated with the Commission for Science and Technology for National Defense and equipment related matters, there is a lot of sales that PLA had made. And one of the institutions is Norinco, China North Industries Corporation. Norinco is one of the main arms of the PLA in terms of exports of arms. So there is a lot of money involved here, and so they suggest that there is some corruption involved in the sales of PLA equipment. Just for a context, while US, Russia, Europe are the largest exporters of arms, China had become the fifth largest exporter of arms in the world today, mainly for African, South American, and Asian. 40% of these go to Pakistan, actually. So there is the lucrative deals that they have conducted. And Norinco chairman, ex-chairman, all of them also been under investigation. So this suggests that General Li Shangfu had some role in some of these. And so it is clear that Li Shangfu did not visit the BRICS meeting, nor the G20 meeting, nor he attended the Southeast Asian meetings recently. So he is not visible.
So obviously, when we are talking about Xi Jinping, does this also indicate some kind of weakening of Xi Jinping's grip? And if we are looking at it in context of Kim Gan, who was supposed to be close to Xi Jinping, and this defense minister was also chosen by Xi Jinping, why is it, or any of these transfers that are happening to Russia, can that take place without the knowledge of Xi Jinping? I mean, basically, I'm asking about what is exactly the likely role of Xi Jinping in all this? Qin Gang, Li Shangfu, in the arms transfer. How much is Xi Jinping personally involved?
It would be incredible to think that the Central Military Commission Chairman Xi Jinping does not have knowledge about what is happening in the PLA, because he is the chairman of the Central Military Commission and he had consolidated. Unlike Hu Jintao before, who didn't had any military role or support or upbringing or any connection. During Jiang Zemin's time, from 1989 to 2002, there was Jiang Zemin had spread his influence among the military. Those two generals, Xu Caiho and Kuo Po-chang, they were removed by Xi Jinping for corruption charges. Xu Caiho, it was rumored that his daughter got a 20 million renminbi debit card to be encashed in Hong Kong and other places. but they were targeted because they belonged to the Chiang Zemin faction at the time. So it would be incredible to think that Xi Jinping has no role in the PLA or doesn't know about the events in PLA. Definitely, he knows the events. There is some obfuscation on this front. Xi Jinping served under Kang Piao, the defense minister, during the 1980s. He was a officer, not exactly a military professional soldier, but he was under Kang Piao, the then defense minister in the 80s. So Xi Jinping had some role in the PLA from the beginning, and his father uh, also had close relations with the PLA. So it would be hard to believe that the CMC chairman does not know much about the military-related matters. That is number one. Number two, during Xi Jinping's visit to New Delhi in September 2014, Prime Minister Modi asked President Xi Jinping in the Hyderabad house about the 1,000 soldiers mobilization in Chumar and other areas in the western sector. Uh, uh, CMC Chairman Xi Jinping feigned ignorance of the incident during that time. Again, very incredible because CMC Chairman would know about the mobilization, except when a rogue general escalates, and that is a possibility in the Western sector as well. Sometimes the because the Chinese have a system called Shantao Chui, meaning mountain topism, something like the Wagner Group in China. So they do have certain autonomy at the local level, the PLA soldiers, officers, etc. But except for the national interest, sovereignty, territorial integrity issues, they cannot cross the line because the PLA controls the party controls the PLA under the principle of power flows from the barrel of the gun, but the gun is controlled by the party. So from that point of view, the CMC chairman must be knowing a lot of things, including possibly the transfers to Russia. So that is a broad, understanding. So in the light of the anti-corruption campaign that Xi Jinping launched, it is very likely that Xi Jinping has dossiers through the Discipline Inspection Commission and other bodies where the dossiers are collected against all party cadres, military officers, and others. So, very likely that despite the closeness of Li Shangfu, some of these must have been, conveyed to Xi Jinping. The other dimension I wanted to say here was that in the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping removed every other competing factional groups from the Politburo and Politburo Standing Committee. One of the problems then was since then there is intense intra-party tussle that is happening, and we should also see the disappearances in the background of the intense intra-party problems. For example, you mentioned Qin Kang's disappearance. Qin Kang was a blue-eyed boy of Xi Jinping, yet he was removed. Of course, he had this alleged affair with Fu Xiaotian, a journalist with the Phoenix TV and other groups. He must have been targeted by the rival factional groups because he was pretty close to Xi Jinping. So it is quite possible that the factional struggles may have also axed many of these, including General Li Shangfu and Qin Kang. And there are many others who have also been under investigation. So even though they may be proteges of Xi Jinping, yet it is also quite possible. The emerging information is that Chang Youxia, one of the CMC vice chairman and a buddy of Xi Jinping since his childhood. Uh, he is also missing. He
Oh,
is not seen in the public domain. So that he is the second in command in the military, General Chang Yoxia. He was seen going with Xi Jinping to every place, but not to BRICS, not to G20 meeting. Now, of course, Xi Jinping did not attend the G20 meeting, but generally these big meetings are attended by Chang Yoxia uh, and others. There is also the Li Yuchao who was missing. He is the rocket forces chief commander since June this year. And then Wu Hua, some suggest that he had committed suicide, again belonging to the rocket forces, which is a very sensitive military institution because they control the nuclear button and warheads, nuclear warheads. There is also Shang Hong, deputy commander of the strategic support forces, that is basically logistics and cyber and space related matters. He was also missing. Also, interestingly, Foreign Minister Wang Yi is also not seen in the public domain. He did not come to New Delhi for the G20 meeting, nor did he attend the ASEAN meeting last week in Jakarta. Although some reports suggest that he was seen shaking hands with the Venezuelan president when Venezuelan president visited Beijing. But it is still not clear whether he is in circulation or not. The rumor is that some of you may have seen this video in Johannesburg about Xi Jinping and his personal guard wanted to enter, and the South African security just shut him down. And there was the rumor that Wang Yi was asked to give a self-criticism in this regard because he was supposed to control all of those, but then was unable to do that. So a lot of things are moving in China today because of these intra-party differences.
so how secure? I mean, from what you are saying, it seems that a lot of people who are against Xi Jinping are also active. And I recently read a Japanese media report which says that at a seaside resort there was a meeting of, where the elders of the party met Xi Jinping and they got together and kind of read the riot act to him, saying that his policies were causing a lot of social, political, and economic disruption. So, how secure is Xi Jinping's position given that he is already on his third term, which is unprecedented in China?
Indeed, I think the Asian Nikkei
Yes.
report about the Peitai meeting
Hmm.
this July, and former Vice President Tsang Ching-hung, he was involved in the criticism of Xi Jinping in this meeting. Also, there are other party elders. After Chiang Zemin's death uh, a few years ago, there is the mantle that has been shifted towards Tsang Ching-hung, who was the vice president under Chiang Zemin during that time. And incidentally, Tsang Ching-hung is closer to the Japanese because of his close association with them in terms of investments, FDI, technology, and others. So there is the elders, party elders. Party elders are not part of the Politburo or Central Committee, but they are the advisors because of their long-standing position in the party. So Xi Jinping generally had removed many party elders. You may have seen those visuals of Hu Jintao being
Yes.
shunted out during the 20th Party Congress, almost lifted out of the place and uh, you know, uh, uh, so it is quite possible that the Peitahe meeting was very critical because China's growth rates have fallen from 10% to 7.7% to 3% last year, 3.3%. The National People's Congress suggested to 5.5% projection this year, but due to real estate problem as well as the debts, $23 trillion of local debt That is quite a huge amount in terms of the debt to GDP ratio in China, more than what exists across the globe. So this is a major concern. Unemployment is 21%, some say 46%. And so with these, the party elders were suggesting that during Deng Xiaoping's time and afterwards, there is a stability, economic growth rates. But during Xi Jinping's term, there is a decline in the prosperity of China. And China is involved in the assertiveness in relation to Taiwan, Senkaku Islands, the South China Sea, and India-China border areas. And the problems with the United States have come to the fore since 2018-19 under Xi Jinping. So all-round decline is what the party elders have questioned Xi Jinping, according to this report. But we do not know exactly whether this is true or not. Nevertheless, the stress is quite visible in the cancellation of President Xi's visits to New Delhi G20 meeting or the UNGA meeting by Wang Yi or the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting in California. There are no confirmations so far about these meetings. Also in Jakarta meeting, where many leaders have visited, but Xi Jinping did not. So if this report is true, then he is under criticism by the party elders, which is quite a damning thing for a leader like Xi Jinping.
So that means he is not that secure. If he is avoiding all these meetings, perhaps not only to handle the economic situation, is he worried that if he leaves the country for a period of time, that there might be a change somehow? Is he that paranoid?
According to Japanese reports, the servicemen, women who serve tea, and that is a general thing that you see in China, even they are not allowed to go closer to Xi Jinping. So personal safety and any rumored coup, these are some things which generally troubles the Communist Party leaders since Mao Zedong's time. And although we don't have much information about these, in the visuals on Hu Jintao during the 20th Party Congress, the person who ushered Hu Jintao out is also part of the Xi Jinping's bodyguards. But recently, one of the major generals who is looking after Xi Jinping's personal security, he was also under investigation. So this has furthered the rumors about the safety of Xi Jinping. So this is a big issue. And there are a lot of rumors spreading in terms of whether he travels alone or with entourage who are part of that entourage. And so there is something like what we heard about Gaddafi, some such paranoid, security measures are now in place in China.
Yes, I have been hearing about that he changes bedrooms and all. I mean, weird tales are coming out of China, and we do not have any means of verifying what is going on in China. So the thing is that how bad is the economic situation apart from what you said? Because you see, when you're looking at China, it's still a huge economy. How much of a dent can whatever is happening right now can actually put in China's economy?
It's true that the Chinese GDP is $19.6 trillion. So even if they are growing at 3% or even 2%, they are adding hundreds of billions of dollars for the base that is $19 trillion. So there is the cushion factor with the GDP so high. However, there are also the issues of food security, issues of energy security, fertilizers, and others. Xi Jinping, after coming back from Johannesburg, he went to Heilongjiang, the northeastern region, which is the rice bowl or the food bowl of China. And he asked for the food production to be increased with the party secretaries in the province and the local level officials. So this is one which suggests that food security is going to be a major issue for China. And there is also the suggestion here in these speeches in Heilongjiang that 20% cut in salaries across the board. So if that is true, then it's going to pinch the Chinese more because the inflation is really affecting the food prices. There is also as we discussed, the unemployment. Today, the joke in China is that many young people would like to go and stay with their parents because they're all unemployed and they go back to the villages and stay. And so there is instead of the younger people looking after their aged family members, parents especially, now it is a reverse trend. The families have to take care of the younger people because of the unemployment that is increasing. So it is the cumulative factors that are affecting the economic growth rates. As you know, there is the US-China decoupling process.
Yes.
Although the 77,000 American companies have not withdrawn from China, there is always the threat that looms large on these companies. Likewise, there are 87,000 Japanese companies in China. And while there is some movement towards Southeast Asia and South Asia, this is not very significant so far. European Union also has, the Chambers of Commerce has expressed concern. They also have been moving out of China, but not in a spectacular manner. So these trends suggest to the larger business sentiment that affects the FDI flow or others. And then exports have also come down due to the COVID-related pandemic and the demand being less in Europe and US, the major trading partners for China. And so there is the contraction in exports to these countries. So cumulative factors could be one explanation for this.
Okay, I mean, one last question because we are running out of time now. One last question. What are the chances of Xi Jinping externalizing his problems to secure his position and to basically divert attention from what is going on? Because you see, even as we speak, China's, muscle flexing around Taiwan is continuing. So do you think there is going to be an escalation, further escalation?
In general, when leaders are threatened with the domestic, problems, they try to diversify and distract by launching, external, conflicts. So that has been general trend across the globe, and we do not know whether Xi Jinping is contemplating. As you rightly mentioned, today there are 28 aircraft which crossed the median line in Taiwan Straits today morning, early morning. And quite substantially after Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last August, they conducted massive exercises in this area. And during the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party, July 2021, Xi Jinping said, "We will break the heads of those who divide Taiwan from China." So the rhetoric is increasing, and many generals also have pointed out to this in China about the Taiwan factor. But not just Taiwan, including Senkaku Island, South China Sea, Galwan, no progress so far despite 19 core commander level meetings. And the suggestions at Joburg that there should be, expeditious, disengagement process, but not much has really happened in terms of the India-China border as well. So it is quite possible that the externalization of these domestic problems in China could be one way to distract the attention of the Chinese from raising their voice on the political leadership for the kind of mishap, for the kind of misfortune that they have been subjected to.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really enlightening. I mean, I would like to invite you again sometime later to discuss more about China. I'm certain more will be happening. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Until the next time. I think we